There she is.
Oh, hello. You're gonna laugh at me. I have to share this. Wanted to get, a cocktail going. I'm looking for my glass. Now, mind you, we have a dozen glasses, but I'm looking for my glass. And I'm
Okay.
noticing how crazy it is because I'm like adamantly looking everywhere for this one glass.
Okay.
And I'm like really about like, where is it? Like now it's like, where is it? Right? How is it not in the dish rack? How is it not in the cupboard? I checked the cupboard 3 times. Then I was like, dude, chill. You have many glasses. What a creature of habit am I? So just naming that's why I was 2 minutes late.
That's okay. I'm the same way.
Are you?
Oh my gosh, it's it's crazy making and maddening to me that I do this to myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that about, Heidi? Can you just let go of whatever it is? Because you have a million of them. Pick another.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate you normalizing that a little. I feel relieved because I was like, okay, this is like weird that I can't let it go.
So not weird. Really not weird. Trust me, it's not at all.
Thank you.
So, cheers. What cocktail did you make for yourself?
I made a bourbon. That's all I made.
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
The glass was such a high value piece.
It is.
So just something new I learned about myself. And yes, this beautiful concept of I'm going to speak for myself where I self agitate.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I actually have another choice here. I
But
actually
but
have
in the
11 other choices.
right. But in the moment, I would rather agitate myself than find the other. What? Oh my God. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And to me, that's also the piece I will hold for me with the new year. Not a resolution, but I want to be in my peace, right? So then I keep asking myself, okay, is my peace more important than this? Because I am noticing like a lot of what bugs me is what I'm calling self agitation.
Yeah.
I actually have some agency here.
Yeah.
So that part feels good.
Yeah, good.
And how are you, my love? Thanks for holding that coming in.
Uh I love, I love the reality of people. I love, realness is just, it speaks to me on a million different levels, and the humor in it is
So
so
we can
important.
laugh.
It's so important, especially, and I think this is probably one of the gifts that I got from my father. Um, he was one of those people who was so, I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday in our conversation. You were talking about like corny fathers. Okay. My father was one of those corny joke tellers, and he would laugh at himself. Like he really thought he was funny. And that was the funny. Like the funny was watching him think he was so funny. It was never the joke, typically. And I will say I think I that's a gift that he's certainly passed on to me. Thank goodness. Thank goodness, because it has really given me not only a sense of self, but also this ability to look at myself like, you are perfect exactly the way that you are. In your imperfection, you're perfect. And in your ridiculousness, you're perfect. You know? And laughter is such a it's my medicine.
Hmm. What a
It
beautiful
really is.
inheritance.
Pardon?
Sorry, I said, what a beautiful inheritance, right?
Oh,
Like we inherit things from our parents, not always of that nature.
yes.
And to think like in this somewhat broken, crazy world, like you're well equipped to have some levity. Because oh my gosh, where would we be without that levity right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Because I do believe that even in the worst situations, we can find even this much humor. Like there's funny in just about every situation. Just about every situation. If we look for it,
Yeah.
you know? And so that is the levity. That does kind of bring, it kind of it balances things.
Yeah, I'm hearing
Yeah,
it more as like a, we're so primed as like just centuries, thousands of years of looking for the negative,
yeah,
for survival reasons, and a very small amount of time looking for the positive
right.
from a thriving perspective.
Yeah,
That is the muscle to cultivate. I had to sit with like with every situation because I'm thinking of like the worst ones, but
yeah,
I'm like, who am I? Like, I've watched family members of mine you know, laugh truly, like even after a funeral, not to say that they weren't deeply upset at the funeral, but then someone decided to pull a prank at the house that had everyone laughing because you're so like earnest and humbled and cracked open. And like, there's still, to me, that gift
mhm.
of like, we're laughing here. And like someone might look at that as wrong. But to me, it's very right that we're not just in our sorrow, but we can also, goof off. And that's when you need it most.
That is when you need it most. And laughter is just as vulnerable as it's opposing.
Mm.
Like, think about that. Because I know, you know, and I'm going to equate this to kind of like my dating profile or just looking at, I will not give a second look to a man who isn't smiling. I won't. He's not even a consideration.
Wow.
Um, because I ask myself, what is he hiding? Like, if he's just stoic, what the heck was
Yeah.
that? Like, seriously, what is that about?
The poker face.
So it's like when we smile, we are opening ourselves up. That
Mm.
is vulnerability. That is allowing, it's very inviting to laugh and to smile because it's very inviting, it invites people in. That is vulnerability. Same way with the other, which is, very sorrowful. And people, I would say that I'm sure you've experienced this, many people are like scared of tears. They're scared to go near someone who's grieving or sad or whatever, but laughter invites people in. And they're both just as vulnerable as the other.
I'm sitting with this. I'm like really sitting with it because I think maybe I'm biased, and thinking one's more vulnerable than the other.
Oh,
But we are disarmed
yep.
when we're laughing. I think it's like I've noticed those moments when I've been feeling my most powerful and letting someone in through the joy or the laughter, the intimacy. And that is, even though I'm feeling empowered, I'm noticing, yeah, that is still a vulnerable state. Thank you for that. It's a
Yeah.
cool, like, little, shift in the kaleidoscope for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how's your world? I know we connected a little bit, but, we still haven't really had a recorded session like this. How's your world?
Um, it's been a little rough.
Oh,
Um, two of my first year friends are dealing with some health issues.
mm,
Um, getting some tests run, some biopsies, that kind of thing.
yikes. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know that I need to say any more except that. And um, so yeah. And when, and what I will say, actually, I do have a little bit more to say. When one is removed from it, I'm very removed from it because I'm not in their body. I'm not experiencing what they're experiencing. I see it very differently. I mean, I just, my experience with it is very different. And I also kind of go into research mode.
Sure. Problem
'Cause,
solving?
um, not necessarily problem solving, but research mode, like, because, and I will say this in general, most people don't second guess their doctors.
Mm, mhm.
They don't ask for a second opinion. They don't second guess. They hear this and they're like, all right, let's do the test.
Right.
I would say one of the best gifts that I got from my former, because he practiced that, he was a biological dentist and naturopathic physician, brilliant person. Um, was that to question allopathic medicine,
Mhm.
especially when they're trying to push drugs on you.
Yeah.
Do you really need them? Like, what is the reason someone's giving you a prescription? Do you really, is there an alternative to that?
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, um, um, yeah, I'm questioning whether or not, these tests are necessary or not necessary. And how invasive does it have to be?
Right.
Um, because my one friend, I had a similar experience literally 25 years ago. And but my experience was very different because I had a biopsy and that was it. Like, I had a biopsy and it was over. Everything was clear, everything was fine, good. And my friend's situation is very different.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I wonder how necessary all of this is, considering how health insurance has changed, just like, there's so many layers to it. Um, anyway, so I'm holding space and I'm not putting my crap on it. I'm just like, here, I'm here.
Yeah.
Um, and if I'm going to give any sort of advice, it's simply to rest. Like, really rest and really take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like really do that, because I think most of us, I would say many people, we get through a procedure and we're like, oh, I can get up and work the next day, or I'm okay. No, we're not. Our bodies need time to heal,
Yeah. And we're not machines, you
and
know?
we are not machines.
Yeah.
We're not. Um, yeah. Anyway, yeah, just I'm feeling a lot of, actually, I have my sister-in-law as well, and then another friend of mine, all have had medical procedures in the last 7 days, and I'm
Wow.
like, wow. And the other thing that I find fascinating, because of COVID, the medical, just medical visits have changed. They they've changed, and not necessarily in a good way.
Sure.
Um, that's concerning, and so if medical professionals or nurses or whatever are not going to, and I'm not saying they're not caring about their patients, but if they're pushing people through to get them out of the hospital so that they don't get sick with COVID, like, I get that there's an intention behind it, right? And I feel like that can be really risky too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. And I'm feeling your care online. Like I'm feeling that part of my heart that would feel care and concern and a little bit of a protective
Yeah.
nature to the people I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean that feels really big, but I'm just like, these are people that I love and I care about, and I'm also, riding high from Sunday, you know? Like I actually spoke with Mickey earlier today about something else, and she asked me how I was doing, and I said, I'm still really feeling the reverberation and the ripple effect of not only what we created, but the money that was raised for this little nonprofit, that I was, given money from and months ago, and um it was just lovely. And the guests, I'm going to call them guests, the participants, were so appreciative. Yeah, and that was really sweet. Like they voiced their appreciation, which was sweet. So anyway, I'm still really feeling the love and the connection and the community of it.
That's a
Yeah.
good word. Yeah, I felt goodness in all of that, and I don't say that in a moral, way, but like not only did we all agree to co-create, which is already like magical feeling, and then to see that many people show up on a Sunday for what, again, 3.5 hours feels like a pretty big commitment to me for your Sunday. So that was like people who were really in, and that appreciation, like it's like we want to give and we want to create community. And the vision, it was almost like beyond what I had even imagined was possible. Like it was greater than what I thought we could do
Yeah.
because of all of the collaboration. It, for me, because I believe so deeply in like the cooperative nature of humans versus the competitive nature. I don't necessarily buy into some of that mythology that we're like meant to be super competitive. I think as mammals we're quite collaborative and cooperative if we want to be. And just to have that bolstered and reflected was so great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So what's been happening in your world since we spoke less than 24 hours ago?
Well, I'm doing this supervisor role, training coaches, and I have been, I will say, first semester, every single time I got in front of, 50 something people and trying to share and teach. And mind you, I've been learning this stuff. I was a student a year ago. So there's a part of me that felt like the newbie.
Hmm.
And there's a part of me that really wanted to be liked. Right. So that doesn't set me up for success personally, to be all of me. If I just really, 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 really want to be liked, it's sort of like the preteen has taken hold instead of the grown woman. And so I sat with that over the holidays. Like, what is this part of me that would sacrifice full expression for belonging? Right. And is it really in service to these coaches in training to not get constructive feedback, which you do so well, obviously, in your work, because I want to be liked? Like, it just all felt icky. It felt like I was onto myself and it didn't feel good to continue doing it once I knew I was doing it.
Hmm.
And then, of course, I had the holidays with my parents, and a lot of things were just quietly, seismically repaired within. And today I felt like, oh my gosh, I think I caught my stride. I wasn't worried about being liked because I already feel solid on the inside. It wasn't limiting my expression like it had been last semester. I felt really good about giving positive feedback. Here's what I saw you do well. Here's what I'd like to see more of. And I didn't have this like little fearful place that was like, oh God, did that land okay? Did I hurt them? But none, like, I don't know what happened. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck happened, except that that wasn't there. And so I really got to serve in the way I've been wanting to serve. And I got to be myself, and my co-lead, who's a wonderful human being, he mentioned in we give each other feedback after the classes, and last semester he was like, you kind of seem nervous, and that playful part of you is missing. And it's true. I was like so wanting to get it right. So I have to say today I just felt like, if I could like super high five myself, right?
Yes.
Of being like,
Yes.
I'm no longer afraid to serve in that way. And I really saw, I think the most rewarding part was seeing that the feedback I was giving was going to help these coaches grow and serve their clients better. So that ripple effect, like you were talking about the well, like the ripple effect of you get over your shit, you serve. And if you're serving people who serve, they're going to serve better. And so it's just like, okay, now we're playing the big game, like now we're playing. So I was just really happy that
Mm.
whatever needed to happen, and I held that for a whole semester, right? Like, what's going on here? Why am I doing this? What's in the way? Why am I afraid to rock the boat here? You know, I think learning that the truth comes with stillness and patience instead of like I'm very good at like bulldozing, you know. Where is it? Let me unearth it. I pride myself in being a master processor, but this one was deep.
Yeah.
This one was a little bit in the self-worth, itchy zone. Um, it just makes me wonder what's possible because so much of my coaching for clients is how do you fully express and risk connection so that you can build intimacy and true friendships and relationships. So I'm finding I'm having to map that out myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, am I the teacher? Am I the student? Are they the teacher? Or are they the student?
Right. Right.
And I
Yeah.
think we're a little bit of both every time because I learn just as much from them as I hope they're learning from me.
Yeah. Yeah. I am so pleased to hear this. What
Feel-
a nice shift from just 3 weeks ago
Mhm.
ish, right? 3 weeks ago. Wow, that's so incredible and empowering. Yeah. And you talked about high five. You said I wish I could high five myself. One of the things that I talk about with my clients is so many times we go through life and we're accomplishing and we're doing and getting it right and we just kind of go about our day. And one of the things that I say is stop for a moment and take note of what you just did because that's fucking big. Like that's huge because you weren't doing it a week ago or 2 weeks ago or even 6 months ago, but you're doing it today. And that's like doing a 180. It's like you flipped it. Pat yourself, give yourself a high five. That's really important because chances are not everyone else, no one else really sees it, but you see it and you notice it. So give yourself credit where credit's due because that's so, so, so important.
It also builds, I want to say our self trust because I think, I remember Debbie Ford saying once, like a lot of the self loathing in our world, that inner loathing is because of a deficit of self praise.
Yeah.
And I think about, as a kid, and I mean, I didn't hear this in my family, but I heard it out there, like, don't get too big for your britches, or oh, he's being a braggart, or, and I was like, where did we draw a line that self-praise was negative, was conceited, was arrogant? Like, I get that there are people who are super conceited and aren't checking themselves. But what about just genuine self praise or receiving praise? Like, how did that get, I don't know, put in the same bushel?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Like where did we get off the road about that, right? Like how did that happen, you know? Um because I mean, I really do like you talk about self-trust. How do we build that? By owning our goodness, owning what we have accomplished, owning what we know is true and good about ourselves.
Yeah.
Because everyone else sees maybe 10% of that, right? Maybe
Right.
10% on a good day. We, if we're really true to ourselves and really clean and clear with ourselves and are connected in a really deep way, we're going to get it every time or almost every time, but a lot more than the 10%,
Mhm.
you know? Um, yeah, I also know that many of us, our self-talk is so, oh, it's paralyzing and it's horrible, and it's really detrimental. And so it's almost like there's so much of that going on. So then how would we believe ourselves when we really do something well and we say, "Oh my God, good job, so and so," or good whatever,
Yeah.
like that can really twist things. So maybe if we had, and it's not conceit. Like I don't see it as conceit at all. I really see it as giving ourselves credit. Like I said, where credit is due. That's so important. That's really, really important.
Maybe we can make a t shirt. It'll be our first cocktails and pajamas. That's like, own your goodness.
Ooh, I love it.
I
Own
love
your
that you
goodness.
said that. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me
Yeah.
of, this idea, and I say this a lot with my clients, like when they're beating up on themselves, like maybe they dropped off their diet, or maybe something, just something janky happened in their life, and they're feeling some shame. And on one hand, I think that it's good to be motivated by, like, I was out of integrity, let me look at that. And on the other hand, I also want them to be their own best friend, even when they falter. And so often I'll say, I'll hear their inner dialogue, they'll share it, and I'll say, what would you say if your best friend came over and told you they fucked up over there and are feeling terrible? And what they would say to their best friend is often very different than what they're saying to themselves.
Mhm.
Like, contrast, quite, the contrast is pretty big. And so it's like, how do we get you closer to how you would, like, hey, it happens to the best of us. Like, I get that you're upset about that. I appreciate that you want to course correct. And like the compassion piece, that muscle seems to be really available for others. And I imagine we just haven't been taught how to have that self empathy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Humans can really be their own worst enemy at times, and we've mentioned the ripple effect a couple times tonight, and I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, imagine if we turned around the self-hatred talk into self-love talk, and that, of course, because everything starts with us. So imagine the ripple effect from that. Oh my God, it's mind blowing, Um, yeah, yeah. I'm all
Mm.
over that.
There was a great word Mickey shared, and I feel like we should have her guest since we talk about her so
We
much.
definitely, yes, yes.
She had said it, and I want to say moon eye. It was a word she said, maybe Peruvian. I don't quote me on it.
Mm.
But the definition, like, really, like, kinda hit me in the chest. It was, like, unconditional affection for oneself.
Yes. When did she
Remember
bring
this?
this? Yes.
Yeah, maybe the grief retreat, maybe the Shaman 101 stuff, I don't know.
Yes, I do remember that.
But it stuck with me because I was like, "Okay, self-love can kind of feel a little distant to me."
Mhm,
I get self-regard. I get having good
mhm.
self-regard. But when she said unconditional affection,
Yeah.
I don't know, that was like, wow, do I have unconditional affection for myself? Like, maybe this was a year or two ago, and I was like, I don't think I do. I think I'm very conditional with myself
Mm,
and
mhm.
probably also with others, like,
Yeah,
right? That was
yeah.
a huge pivotal, like, spiritual path opened in front of me,
Mhm.
with that concept.
Right,
I'm
right.
glad you remember it too, because I was like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's something, yeah, I would that sounds like a conversation or a chapter in and of, just kind of to take apart some time. But yeah, that would be, yeah. Mm. So, my goodness. Mm.
Oh, I have a question for you since we're talking about self praise and celebration. What's one thing in the last week that you can naturally offer self praise or celebrate yourself for?
Uh, um, so, allowing myself to feel the fear and not allowing it to stop me and moving forward anyway.
Hmm. Do you want to share more? Does that feel complete for you?
Ah!
A little bit like, what does this mean?
Um, I'll share a little bit more. So I've had a little bit more forward movement in the Project Mitzvah,
Hmm.
and I had a really helpful and supportive conversation this afternoon with Mickey. So she did. I don't know if you. I knew that she did some. I didn't know what kind of work she did after 9/11, but I knew she did some sort of supportive kind of work. I didn't know what it was. Anyway, and over the weekend, I kept seeing her face, and I'm like, maybe this is just because we're doing the well. Like, but she just kept coming, spirit kept dropping, talk to her, message her, whatever. And then when Sunday was over, I heard it again yesterday and I heard it again today. I'm like, okay, this is not about the well. And what I kept hearing is that she either knows someone in the nonprofit world that could
Hmm.
help me, or she knows someone who knows someone. So anyway, we spoke today for a while, and I just, I'm noticing that I'm getting, like, it's still, I don't think I've wrapped my head around the amount of money. Like, I haven't done that. Like, it like rolls off my tongue. I'm like $350 million. Like, it's just 350, and and then when I stop for a moment, I'm like, and then I kind of lose my breath for a moment. I'm like, okay, so the fear comes up. I'm feeling expansive because it just opens all kinds of things, a lot of possibilities, but more exposure. And I'm like, okay. And I'm moving forward.
Mm.
Like, and I continue to move forward. Um, because this is not something I'm supposed to let go of. Like, it was put in my lap. It was, man, it was, the message was so clear, and it was put in my lap. And the more and more that I research and write about it, um, and the longer my list grows of people, my donees, I don't, not that I would want to have a choice, but I don't have a choice. Like, I've got to move forward, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and then, so this just scared the shit out of me. So anyway, in our conversation, she said, so, you know, typically there's someone who does the legwork,
Mhm.
and then there's someone who's the visionary, who does the press conferences and is in front of the cameras. And I'm like, I think that's me.
Oh man, how'd you feel when you got that memo?
Oh, I started laughing. Like, I started laughing because I was so uncomfortable and I was really out of my comfort zone. I didn't speak at first, right? she said, she's like, did I overwhelm you? And I'm like, and I just started laughing, and I'm like, no, I know it's supposed to be me. And I don't want it to be me, but it's supposed to be me, because I really wanted to just, I was hoping to stay under the radar. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. I can't stay under the radar. Oh my God. So, I'm putting on another pair of big girl pants, and I'm like, I'm continuing to head out the door. I'm like, okay, right? Okay, we're gonna continue moving forward. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's a part of me, because I think, like most of us in the world, have body issues.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I've put on even more weight. And I'm like, fuck that shit. Like, I can't be concerned about that. There are people who who they are in such need of a home, or to pay an electric bill, or to have growth. Like, I'm like, I can't think about that. I've gotta, I've got to keep moving forward. Yes, that's happening, and it's out, but I'm like, I can't keep myself from going in front of the camera because I'm not pleased with the way that I look, or being out there, being the front runner, being the, whatever you want to call it. I'm like, I gotta, it's, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm
Yeah.
doing. And I hate public speaking. Damn it.
And
I
yet you're
hate
such a
it.
great conversationalist. So
Oh, stop.
it's interesting to me.
Oh,
And I so relate to, here's a mission, and yet here I'm not pleased with the way I'm presenting. And yet Spirit's saying, get out of your own way.
yeah,
It's not about you. And
right.
you know what? Like, it's there, right? So I so get that, especially the like, oh shit, it's me. Like I'm the yeah, I'm literally the, what is it? It's not the icon. There's a word for it.
Spokesperson?
The spokesperson. Yeah. And I think it's sweet that, on some level, Spirit chose today, as you're riding high on this other event, to pop
Right?
that fantasy bubble that someone, a visionary who decided to raise 350 million to help others, would somehow also be able to go under the radar on the press. Like,
I know. The irony of that is so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. I'm
It,
like,
yeah, I love it though because it speaks to like how we can hold this fantasy of okay, I want to do this thing, but I don't want to be seen. And that double bind, at some point, hopefully, if we're lucky, kind of being in our face like this.
yeah, 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 and yeah, and I'm glad that I have a little time to kind of take it in
Mhm.
and let it settle, kind of let it simmer for a while because it's not tomorrow that I'm getting in front of a camera. Oh God. Um, anyway, yeah. Thank you for, yeah, thank you for holding space and asking such a good question. Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
the big energy of that. I even feel as you continue to share that and continue to name it, that it's helping diffuse that energy, right? Like I feel the charge of it for sure. And I think
Mhm.
for me, I have a similar story. Like one day when, then I'll, you know, rock all the TED Talks and stuff,
Right.
right? And it's like, yeah, the day is now. And like you said, it's not tomorrow, but it's part of. I actually loved when you said, it dropped on my map because I think of like divine maps,
Oh,
you know, and it's like, yes, it fell in your lap and it probably fell on your map. Like this is
right.
part of your soul studies,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thank you for naming it because I feel like a lot of people might do the one day when dot 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 I'll dot dot dot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's good to kind of bust the myth that like one day we'll feel ready and then we'll do it versus we'll feel the fear and we'll still be pulled.
Yeah. Because I don't feel ready. I don't know that I'll ever feel ready, like completely ready.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm not supposed to feel ready. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm supposed to just take this vision, take the message, and make it happen. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, but I'm gathering the right people around me,
Yeah.
and and that's what I'm supposed. That's part of this process. Reaching out and asking for support, and that's another level of vulnerability. Because people can always say no, and that's totally okay. Because the people say no are not the people that are supposed to be part of this anyway, and they have their own whatever they're doing, and that's great for them. Um, yeah, and the no's always lead to yeses anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even just giving someone the opportunity to make an empowered no.
Yes. I would much rather, yes, I want to say something about that. So my former business coach, when she would, like, we had these, we had, mostly they were 12-month contracts,
Mhm.
and she said, I'm trying to, was there ever a 6 month? There was never a 6 month, but there were always 12-month contracts. And they would always change a little bit from year to year. And she would say to us, she would do her presentation, and then she would hand us the, hard copy. And she would say, all right, so I'm going to give you 24 hours to make this decision. And when you come back with your decision, I wanted to, when I want you to know really clearly if it's a hard yes or a hard no. Because if you're wavering, that's not clarity. It's not clarity for you, and it's not clarity for me.
Wow.
And then I'm second guessing and you're second guessing. And we need to come to a clear yes or no. And that has stayed with me. I mean, obviously, it has stayed with me. And so I would much rather, if I'm asking someone to work with me or to be a part of or offer information, or If someone does not want to do that, I want to hear no, I can't, or no, just no is fine. But no, none of that waffling. That's too unsettling for me, and it fucks with my boundaries. And
Mm,
I'm not going to have my boundaries fucked with. I've had a life of that, and I'm like, no more, no more. Yeah. So I don't want to go on too long. I want to ask you the same question.
mm.
Yeah. In the last week, my dear, what is something that you're like patting your like you're giving yourself all the praise for? You're giving yourself good credit and saying, yeah, me.
Thank you. I think, well, I'll preface by saying, I've many times held the story that I'm very delicate. It's really because I'm highly sensitive, which I think is very different than being delicate.
Hmm.
Um, and we had a little family crisis on Saturday, as you know. And I observed myself being like rock solid, steady, right? And without going into it, just like the sense that I was honed in. I was 110% present, focused, aware, planning, like at the ready. And I think it busted this myth that I'm delicate.
Mm,
It's like I am sensitive to smells, I'm sensitive to sounds, I'm irritated by the leaf blower more than the average bear. Like there are certain colors that just, I find like should not exist, but they do, right? So I have this thing like in my day to day where I'm like, wow, I'm a lot sometimes to navigate in this body with my sensitivity. But delicate I am not. And I think over the weekend having to really go into like full on, what am I made of? Who am I? How do I support? What's my role here? It was unwavering, that part of me. Like whatever courses through my veins in a crisis, I can trust it. It is solid. It's like warrior goddess level. And I think it just kind of cleared some, I don't know, old stories that, if something were up, I'd be like, I always joke and be like, oh, during the apocalypse, I'd be in the first wave, I didn't have to worry about running. And it's like, I don't know if that's true because, boy, I saw the parts of me that they don't need to come online every day, right? I can be feminine and floaty and enjoy my cup of coffee and sort of be in this place that feels very, very coddled, very nurtured, very nesty, kind of like just nesting all the time. And yet, I haven't had to in a while respond to crisis and know what I'm made of. So, I think that's what I'm patting on myself on the back for. It's like, thankfully, that part of me doesn't have to be online every day. I don't want every day to be that way. And it's like it's coursing through my veins. So, my being a highly sensitive person who's like absolutely unwavering feels like a good new story to have.
mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I'm especially appreciating that you you had this sort of ident thing that you identified with yourself, and they were like, well, wait, yeah, I mean, I have some delicacy, but I'm not just that. I'm also this.
Yeah.
Like I'm really powerful, and and I can focus when it's necessary, and especially in a crisis, that's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, and patting yourself on the back, absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's the piece I think for me of like, I know I'm gentle, like I just want to be a deer in the meadow sniffing the flowers. I enjoy life that way. I won't lie. I enjoy being that archetype or, the playful panda in the snow. Like I'm just happy in that place. And this had me being like, you get to be gentle most of the time because you know you're fierce, right? Versus having to be fierce all the time versus the gentle.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was really cool to be like, it's the same thing you were saying, boundaries, right? Like I set such healthy and caring boundaries with everyone around me that I get to be a gentle deer in the meadow. Where before I had very porous, squishy boundaries, and then I was
Mhm.
pissed at everyone,
Yeah.
you know? So it's a neat place to be like, you actually get to be the thing that nourishes you because that can come online when it needs to, but it doesn't have to be your armor every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hmm.
feels really healthy to me to know that about myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost feels like a superpower. You
Yeah,
know, the duality,
yeah,
like the duality of the gentle and the delicate, and then this fierce, focused, reliable, loyal woman who's getting shit done, who's making it happen. Who wouldn't want, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want something like that in their corner? That's
yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And personally, I mean, I'm much more drawn to someone who's like that than the other,
Yeah.
because then there's someone who matches me, like really someone who matches me. Because I'm not attracted to, I can't, what do you do with, what do you do with that? I don't even know, I don't, yeah.
When I used to complain because I felt like I presented in a way, I mean, not on the inside, but where people were like, "Oh, she's sort of like a glittery unicorn," like they didn't see the grit, and I was like, "How are people not seeing the grit? Like I was born in a war zone. I got smuggled out. I dealt with being bullied, like so many things in my
Hmm.
first few decades like that. Like I know I have grit and glitter in my veins, but I wasn't showing up with some of that grit. And I think, again, just circling back to the wanting to be liked and thinking liked means soft and squishy,
Yeah.
and that frankly, people sniffed that out. Like they didn't quite trust someone who didn't have some grit, right? Like
Right.
it was a double bind for me of like, I want people to see my grit, but I want to be liked. And so it's just a really cool coming home
Yeah.
to be reminded like when shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
like I am on it.
Yeah.
And yet, most days I want to be as gentle and as sensitive and as empathic and as peaceful as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel for you like there's a place that, because I'm thinking of my sensitivity, which I used to think was a downfall. Is there a place for you where like you notice that there's something that you've judged and now it's a superpower?
In myself. Um, yeah. Yes. The answer is yes. I notice how flush I am.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really flush. I don't know if it's the vodka or I am feeling a little warm too. But I will share. Do you want me to share a little bit?
If you feel open to it, yeah.
Yeah. So, I, so clearly I have a very strong personality. I do.
Not one for subtlety, which I love.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't know how to do subtlety or pretenses or anything. And so I kind of had this reputation of being a little rough around the edges,
Mm,
a bitch.
yeah.
Um, and and what was interesting was this is what I was hearing, not everyone, but this is what I was hearing sometimes on the outside. And on the inside, I felt very differently.
Mm,
Like I mean, I did feel those things. I felt my strength, but I also felt a great deal of sensitivity and really feeling my love, like my deep love and caring and loyalty to my friends and protective of my friends, like that, like honey, like Mama Honey Badger. I will kill. I mean, I would go to war. I would kill for my. I mean, really, like I will fight for my friends. And so there was this duality going on, and it was a little confusing for a while. And I was like, well, maybe this isn't why. Maybe this is why I don't have a boyfriend. Like maybe men don't see me as, soft enough or whatever, or they're scared of me. And I had this friend in high school who said to me, she's like, the kind of man that you're going to end up with is is going to be like the complete opposite of you. He's going to be soft, he's not going to be able to stand up for himself, blah 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 blah. Little did I know that my former was very much like that. Um, and what was interesting is when I met him, he didn't come across that way. He reminded me he had a lot of similar traits and characteristics as my father, which I really liked. Like he just had a lot of really good morals and values um, and honor and integrity. Um, and then I really got to know him and saw that he's just not for me. But anyway, um, so did I get off track? Where am I? I don't even know where the hell I am.
the part of you that felt like you were rough around the edges, but the part that you're proud of.
But the part that I would say the part that I'm most proud of is that I can hold both.
Mhm.
And I'm not great at it, pardon me, but I'm getting better at the balance of it. And when I'm talking with friends or having a hard conversation or whatever, I'm a lot better because of I've practiced a lot, and that is in the way that I communicate. And I can't even believe I'm going to say this out loud, but my mother has been probably one of my most important and best teachers because of her personality. Um, I have learned that in order for me to really love her deeply, I have to, it, the only way I can get there is to really go deep within, feel compassion for her so that I can express that and love her in that way. And that way I don't feel irritated by her.
Wow.
Um, and we actually laugh more than we ever have, which is really sweet and lovely. Um, and I've been enjoying our FaceTime conversation. Like we have spoke yesterday, we FaceTimed 3 times. Yesterday was Monday. Today we FaceTime this morning, and um, yeah, it was funny and sweet, and I don't know what else to say. I'm just glad that I'm glad that I have my mother because I know many people have lost. I lost my father 13 and a half years ago, and I'm glad that my mother's still around and she's healthy and she's got her wits about her, and um, yeah,
Mm.
Yeah.
I love
So
that she's
that's,
been your teacher. That's really,
she's been yeah. And I don't know that I would have said that 5 years ago. That's really true.
I have to say that when I met you, I didn't experience you as rough around the edges. I experienced you as like a relief that I wouldn't have to scale walls and figure out subtext to the context to the pretense. You know, mind you, I came from LA. And I was just like, like this person I feel trusting of
Mm,
because you couldn't do pretense. Yeah, that was the gift you were for me when I
mm,
wanted to like just jump in your pouch. Was like, oh wow, this is nice. This feels safe. This feels soothing. I don't feel like I'm going to be blindsided by anything. You know, a big smile here and then back talk,
yeah.
whatever. I felt like, wow, this is someone that if ever anything was up between us, I'd be at least the second person, if not the first person to know. And I say second if ever, you know, one needs perspective first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but to me, that felt incredibly attractive and compelling in a friendship.
I'm just going to take a moment and take that in because that is, it's important for me to hear that and to have that validated, because I know I'm speaking in general terms here, but most people don't really want to know the truth when it's hard, you know? Um, and, and as my very small circle of first year friends are first year friends because they've auditioned. Like I have auditioned all of my friends in a very what's the word I'm looking for? In a very in a gentle way, like a very gentle way, but I have pretty tight boundaries. Like I'm really clear with my boundaries. And so there are a couple, I would say that the things that I'm looking for, that I look for in meaningful relationships, is people who can meet me where I am, love me for who I am, respect me for who I am, don't agree with me just to fucking disagree, to agree. If you don't agree, I want you to say, I don't agree, this is my opinion, or I'm thinking this way about something. Or if I do something and someone doesn't like it, I need to hear that I don't like what you did or what you said, and let's have a discussion about it. Like, confront me with whatever it is we are not seeing eye to eye about.
Yeah.
I want honesty. I want people who will meet me where I am. Um, and I mean, when I think about, there are like 4 or 5. When I think about this very tight, important group of women that I have spent 57 years creating, because it took a lifetime,
Yeah.
you know, um, and that's why my friends are so important to me. That's why connection is so important to me. Um, that's the reason that it's taken as long as it's taken to create this circle, because those relationships mean more to me than almost anything else.
Hmm. Yeah.
And it's a privilege for me to have you as one of these women, and the other women that are part of it, like, not only to be a part of my life, but just be such an integral part of my life. And and to know what you know about me and to do this together, it's huge. Like I wouldn't just blow off steam with I don't like my time's too precious to blow, like we don't blow off steam.
Yeah.
It's time is too precious for that. Life is too important. Relationships are too important for bullshit. Um anyway, I feel like I'm getting off on a tangent, but I just think these things are really important to say
Yeah.
because I want and I crave and I have real relationships in my life. And I feel like my relationship with my oldest sister, it's getting better and I'm I think we're both molding it, using our own tools to mold it.
Mhm.
Because I've had this very kind of up and down relationship with my sister. It's been very tenuous at times, and then there are times when it's been very tender and loving and sweet and supportive. Um, and I feel pretty confident to say that I feel like at some point she could very easily be part of this circle of mine. And I never thought that I would say that. I never thought I would say that. So I'm really feeling very tender about that. Yeah. To allow a sibling in, that's a big deal for me. And it hasn't happened yet, but I feel like we're getting closer to that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm hearing the honest work of deeply fulfilling relationships and the patience and the time it takes to build that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
And the
for including.
consistency to show up. It's so important.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what I would do. Do you remember like when we first started doing this and my Wi-Fi sucked?
Oh, yes.
I wanted to kill the Wi-Fi gods, whoever they are. I was like, no, because this is how we have to connect right now.
Right.
I don't want to be on the phone. I mean, the phone is okay, but I want to see you and I want you to see me. I mean, this is real sharing.
Yeah.
This is where the meat happens, like the simmering and the cooking. This is where it happens. The flavoring. I mean, I feel like I just had dinner, so why am I using food metaphors? I don't know. But yeah, you get the point. I mean,
Yeah. I feel I'm so nonverbal. I pick up on cues obviously as a coach, but also just as an empath, as a sensitive human. And when I'm on the phone, I really feel a certain level of disconnection. For me, it plagues me a little. It's like I can't see you, I can't see you smiling, I can't see any affect, I can't see if your shoulders are tight, I can't see if you're breathing well. Like I feel limited now. I think because so much of my world and my work is on Zoom,
mhm,
that the few times I'm just on the phone, I kind of feel like I can't see.
yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
become
I
that
would agree with you.
important. And maybe a year ago that wouldn't have been the case, right? You'd see people in person and then you'd have a few calls on the phone. But it's become even more paramount, and I'm going to use your term, vital to my well-being
Yeah.
to do this.
Hmm.
Because I'm kind of like on the phone now.
Yeah.
It's fine for like, back in the day where you're like, hey, I'll be there in 5 minutes, meet you at Starbucks or whatever. But
Right.
to do a half hour deep, meaningful conversation on the phone and not see the person, especially like my people,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel the disconnection. And I wonder if other people do too. I frustrate on the phone now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I can just say one more thing, because I realize we're a little over time, but who cares, right? If someone wants to hit stop. They can hit stop. But before FaceTime with my mother, it and I'm not exaggerating because she's a reporter, like she reports, this is what's going on. She doesn't tell me how she's feeling. She reports like the weather is 70 today. I had oatmeal for breakfast. Like I know. So we would literally, and I'm not exaggerating, to keep my mom on the phone for a minute and a half was a feat.
So she just would give the meadow report and be done.
Okay, that's all. Okay, that's all. Okay, that's all. Wait, 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 wait. Wait, wait. Mom, wait, wait, wait. So anyway, and my niece and
Uh-huh.
my nephew who are just adore them. Um, they have this running they have this running joke between the two of them. How long did you keep Graham on the phone today? How long did you keep? It's hilarious. And I think the record is like 8 minutes and 37 seconds or something. I know. So anyway, with FaceTime, for some reason it's easier to keep her engaged because she can see my face, I can see her face. Yesterday, I don't know if I told you this, but I so we were on the phone earlier in the morning, and then I just said, do you want to help me purge? She's like, yeah, I'll keep you company purging. And so I set her on my desk and I pulled up a box, and I'm like, and I just started taking things out, and I mean it was actually really helpful because sometimes I can't make a decision. I'm like, does this spark joy? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does this spark joy? No. Okay. Mom, do you want this? That kind of thing. And so we were together for another 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we FaceTimed later. I think after my sister got home, we all discussed, we had something else we were talking about. But like, this just wouldn't have happened. This would not have happened if we didn't. There are just some really gems to this COVID situation
Yeah.
and being hunkered down. Um, yeah, I'm feeling the benefits of it
Yeah.
for sure. Um, and grateful. I mean, I know people are struggling, and I see. I mean, I'm like, I bring it on because this is how I'm staying connected to people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that. It's almost like maybe your mom had the same feeling I did about the phone. And it's just so much more open on a different platform.
right.
That's really sweet. I mean, 45 minutes. Did you text your niece and nephew and be like, I won?
Maybe I will later. That's hilarious. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's making us creative, right? And it's allowing us to be who we are, which I think is like resourceful.
Yeah,
We are resourceful humans if we're not just stuck in autopilot.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm. This was such a good conversation.
I know.
It's like, can it get any better? Oh my God.
Just think, sometimes I'm just blown away again, I think, by the safety and the trust that the flow, I mean, is just there. And yeah, I've just so enjoyed this. I've so enjoyed all the little tributaries and all the perfection of the flow of the places that we went to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With just ease. It was easy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too.
Mm.